Hey guys, we have a I think it's a 2017 Nissan Versa, and the owner of this vehicle says that she thinks she's got a braking issue, but it's not a braking issue. I looked at this last week. I'm going to try to replicate the problem, but what it is the lower control arm bushings are bad. And let me see if I can get it to do it to where you can hear it. If you're going forward, when you suddenly hit the brake, you feel a clunk. Almost as though there's just something major loose underneath the car, which there kind of is. And I'll show you what that is when we get it lifted up. Now sometimes if you're going slow enough, or I guess even fast enough, you might only feel it one time, but then you got to back up for it to transition, and then it might not do it again until you put it in the opposite direction. And I don't know if you're hearing that at all or not, but anyway, I'll show you what I found and what it's going to take to fix. And what it is the I'll show you. I got the new control arms up here, so I'll show you those first. Here's the new control arms, and what it is this bushing right here is completely shot on both sides. Let me get these out of the plastic and I'll show you. Okay, so this is a brand new control arm, and if you look at this bushing right here, I mean, it's in here nice and tight. It doesn't even move by hand. I can't even get it to move. Won't push in or up or down or anything, and it's all, you can see that it's all one piece in there. And this bushing is all solid too, and I'll show you these whenever I get the car jacked up. I'm going to get the car jacked up, get the wheels off, and I'll show you what these control arms are doing. Okay, so if you look right there, you can see that bushing isn't really doing a whole lot. Bushing separated, and this one over here, hopefully you can see that, is torn also. And what's happening, so when the tire, you got to imagine the tire's on here, you stop the car, you put the brakes on. If you're going forward, the aft end of this control arm is going to try to pivot up. If you're in reverse and you apply the brakes, it's going to pivot down. So depending on if you're going forward or reverse, this is going, and you apply the brakes, the force of that's going to try to pivot this control arm up or down. So that's what's going on, and it literally makes the whole front of the car feel like it's about to that something major is about to fall apart. Now, safety wise, you can still drive this for quite a while like that. It's not going to be able to separate completely from the from the subframe of the car or anything like that, because you've still got a lot of rubber in there. You've still got a bolt that's going through the middle of that. This obviously would continue to get worse, and you would feel it more and more, but they're not that tough to change. It doesn't appear. This will be my first one, so this will be a good gauge for you to determine if you want to do this or not. It looks like this bolt, that bolt, and then the lower ball joint needs to come out, and then this whole control arm will come out of here, and we'll put the new one in. So we're gonna get after it, and we'll see how it goes. Let me get set up. All right, guys. So basically, what you got to do to get this, first of all, it's very important. Make sure you've got your car up on jack stands. Okay. Don't just lift this up with a jack, because you're going to have to be underneath at least part of it, and you don't want that car to come down on you. So basically, it's removing this bolt, and there, you got a nut up on top. This is 18 millimeter. This is 21 millimeter. This is just a bolt. There is no nut. We're going to impact these off. Of course, you can use hand tools, and then we got to go after the ball joint bolt. And then it's a matter of prying the ball joint out and just pulling the old control arm out, and then putting the new one in. And there's a couple little tricks to get the new one in, and I'll show you that. That can be kind of a pain, putting the new one in, but very doable. Go the right way. Sometimes you can spin these all the way out. I don't guess this one's going to be one of those ones though. Nope. All right. Now the 21 millimeter. Had water built up in it. Now for the ball joint bolt, that's 14 millimeter. You'll need a wrench to back up the nut, or the head side, whichever side you choose to get on. And that bolt just pushed out. Sometimes you kind of got to knock them out. Now we've got to get the ball joint out of the knuckle here. So I'm going to try to get this control arm pulled out of here. I think that will give us the room that we need. A little bit of penetrating oil of some type would probably definitely help. So that's what you got now. Once you get that knocked out, these have been pinched, you know, on the original bushings, sort of help slide the new one in. And just so you know, just so you can see what the, so this is the problem with this one. These bushings shouldn't be able to be knocked out like that. And then of course you see this one's torn. Now it's still, you know, it's still intact. So this one probably still would have went for a long time, but this one here was what was causing all the problems. And both sides are the same way. It's the aft bushing apparently that goes bad on these. So this is the trick that you can do to help yourself reinstall the new ones. Come in here with a pry bar and pry this down just a little bit. So that it'll open it up just enough to where the new ones will slide in. Otherwise, you will be fighting it. And I'm going to do the front and the aft the same way. And I'm just using a pry bar and a socket. Let me re-index that just a little bit. Too much. Doesn't take much, just enough to get her opened up. And you'll see there's a little recess right there, so you've got to kind of get this aft one in and slid back into its little spot, and then get the front one in. There it is. And I like to go ahead and get this aft bolt started. Just screw it in with a couple threads. That way that one didn't move. Now, this front one, the bolt that came out of it normally came up through the bottom, and the nut was on top. I go down from the top with the bolt and put the nut on the bottom, and the reason is just in case this nut vibrated loose, gravity will hold this bolt in. So if it's in this way and that nut vibrates off, gravity is going to cause this bolt to fall out. So that's just what I do. Of course, you can do it. You can put it in the way the factory had it, and that's fine. Can't go wrong with the way the factory had it, I guess. Now this one's just a matter of getting it vibrated in, and it's nice to have some alignment punches so that you can you know, come in and get this thing lined up. And this is usually the toughest part of the job, is getting the bolt back in this forward bushing. I try to leave the ball joint out at this point, because if you put the ball joint in, it pivots the control arm down so much. These bushings are so stiff whenever they're new that it's tough to manipulate them the way you need. So if you don't put the ball joint in, leave your steering wheel unlocked so that you can actually pull the rack and pinion out the way you need it to get as much play as possible. And like I say, now it's just a matter of getting this this top bolt lined up so that we can get her in there. There's my other punch. So I'm going to need both hands for this, so let me try to put you to where you can kind of see something. Once you get it down through the top, you can see how not lined up it is. A small pry bar go. If you have one of these indexable pry bars, you can kind of come in right here and pry on this lip. You can generally get it pried enough to where you can knock that bolt down. Now for the ball joint, it's just a matter of pulling it down and getting it started. This is again where you want to have a nice pry bar. Now you got to make sure that your ball joint's up in here enough to where, I should have showed you the concave recess around the ball joint. That's got to, so the ball joint's got to be up enough to where your bolt will capture that. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but the ball joint's got to go up enough to where you capture that recess in your lower ball joint. You know what? I've got the old one. What am I thinking? This recess right here is where your bolt goes through and captures that. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So the ball joint needs to be up into the knuckle enough to where you're capturing this recess. If the ball joint only goes up there a little bit and you put the bolt and tighten it up, and the ball joint's hanging down, that ball joint will eventually pop out of there. As soon as you hit a big enough bump, it's not gonna be a good day for you. So what I do, now you don't want to hit, like right here on this part of the ball joint. Try to hit the control arm, try to hit on the solid part of the ball joint, and tap it with a hammer. If you're having to really beat the hell out of it, you need to figure out another method, because you don't want to pound your ball joint all to hell. Now I can see that recess coming in. Hopefully you was able to see a little bit of that. I need to be able to watch. Actually, I think I'm just going to put the bolt in. Notice the bolt will not go in right now. I'm just putting pressure on it. Bolt's in, and you can see how much of the ball joint's sticking up. So that's about how much you should be able to see, you know, before the bolt goes in. Alright, so now it's just a matter of tightening everything up. So you got 3 bolts total that you're going to need to make sure it's tightened up. Of course, you got your ball joint. So the only thing I've got to do is grease this ball joint and put the wheels back on, and this job's done. So that's pretty much it. Lower control arms on a 2017 Nissan Versa. Should be the same for a 2018, and I'll put the link to these control arms, and I'll put in there what range Nissan Versa these fit. Anyway, other than putting the tires on and stuff and letting this down, remember, always use jack stands when you happen to be up underneath the vehicle at all. That was pretty much it. And I just want to also say, if you don't have a couple good pry bars, you may really want to invest in them. They come in handy for a lot of things, and this job would have probably been a heck of a lot tougher if I didn't have some decent pry bars. What's nice about these is the head right here. Both these work the same. The head is indexable. Let me get both my hands so you can see how these work. Because if you don't have good pry bars, you need these. You push this button, and that head locks wherever you put it. Okay, and they telescope, so you can get into places. If you need more leverage, you pull it out. This, I forget what size this one was. This one I think is 32 inches is what it extends out to, and it works the same way. Of course, you can see, you know, how it indexes all different ways. I'm saying that because without these, there's a lot of jobs that I do that would be very, very difficult. So I bought a couple of these. I've got one more that's slightly different, but highly recommend some good pry bars when you're doing work like this, because there's all kinds of times that you need to be able to pry and put the force in an exact way, and it's almost impossible if you're not able to index the pry bar the way you need to. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. If you're going to do this yourself, make sure you've got a pry bar. Take care.